Hi, I'm Jeremy with ACK, and today we're going to go over the FishFinder installation onto a new product out on the market called the YakAttack CellBlok. The CellBlok is a very unique product in the fact that it gives you the ability to mount a FishFinder directly to it and then transport it and install it on various kayaks on the market using aftermarket gear tracks or the tracks that are included on various kayaks nowadays. You mount the FishFinder to the top, and then the front has a sliding door that allows you to house your FishFinder battery or power source inside the unit. So it's an all-inclusive unit that allows you to make your FishFinder mobile. Today we'll be installing the new Lowrance Elite 4 HDI unit to the CellBlok. The Lowrance Elite 4 HDI is a brand new unit on the market from Lowrance that's replacing the old Elite 4 and Mark 4 models. And this new unit allows you to have a multi-window display that can transfer from broadband sounding view to downscan to GPS, or you can watch them all at the same time. It's got a 4.3-inch LED display that is LED backlit, so it's very bright and you can see it in the sunlight very clear, as well as you can tone it down at night so that way it's not as blinding. It's got a high accuracy internal GPS antenna, so that way you can track your movements on an included mapping system so you can see exactly where you need to go. On that mapping software, internally it will allow you to store up to 3,000 waypoints. It's also got a 1 micro SD slot on the bottom so you can put Navionics cards or various other mapping software cards inside here and save even more waypoints and also utilize their charts instead of the Lowrance ready GPS mapping that's included. It's IPX7 waterproof, so it can take quite a good licking from water. It will not shut down as soon as it gets dipped. The thing that sets it off from the prior model is that it's got 70% more pixels and 36% more usable screen space than the previous Elite 4 and Mark 4 models. So it's a very handy unit. It's got a lot of nice included features. To connect the FishFinder to the CellBlok, we're going to be utilizing various pieces from RAM. The reason we're going to be using RAM is the CellBlok comes tapped on the inside of the lid on the very bottom to house the various RAM components that can go on there. You can use other connection components as well, but the RAM fits this CellBlok perfectly. What we're going to be using is going to be the RAM 18-inch long transducer arm with no base. This is going to connect your transducer to the arm and flex it down off the side of the CellBlok to extend into the water off of the top of the unit. To connect the arm to the CellBlok, we'll be using the RAM 1-inch ball with diamond base. This has got a nice rubber coating and doesn't make a lot of squealing noises whenever you start adjusting it, so it's a nice connection point for the arm. And then to connect the FishFinder head unit to the top of the unit, or of the CellBlok, we're going to be using the RAM Elite 4 FishFinder mount. This is going to plug and basically replace the stock base of the Elite 4 and allow you to pivot your FishFinder head unit a lot more than you can with just the stock unit. So this will be using to connect the head unit to the CellBlok. Other than these various pieces, what you'll need is some stuff that you can also find over at ACK.com. You'll need a pair of wire terminal connectors. That's going to connect your power cable to the battery. And then also you're going to need some of the 18-pound cable ties that we've got that are going to allow us to zip tie the transducer cord to the transducer arm to keep it all nice and neat. And then of course you're also going to need a power source. You're going to need a 12-volt battery, and all of these pieces on the end that I just talked about here you can find again over at ACK.com. Now, in order to start the installation, the very first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take your CellBlok unit, of course assemble it, but once it's assembled, you want to go ahead and take the lid off of the unit, and then you can see on the inside there are holes that are pre-tapped to fit the hole patterns on the various RAM bases. So what you'll do is, first off, the CellBlok, when you put it on your boat, if this is the outside towards the water, these T-posts, they're going to face towards the water so that your battery door faces inside the cockpit of the kayak. So what you'll want to do is when you tap your holes, the side of the CellBlok that's closest to you, that's where the FishFinder connection base is going to be mounted. So you'll take the base off of the Elite 4 ram mount, flip the lid over, line your holes up, tap your holes with the drill, and then on the back side of the lid, you'll take the diamond base, do the exact same thing, line it up with the holes that you're going to want to use, tap the holes with the drill, and then on the bottom you'll notice of the lid it's got sockets that will accept locking nuts. The locking nuts just drop into place, drop the screws in from the top, through the ram base parts, and tighten up everything. That will connect all of your ram base components to the lid of the CellBlok. Then you can take the lid of the CellBlok, put it back on top, and reattach with the screws that you removed initially. Once you're done, now is the time that you're going to want to do the transducer install. For the transducer install, the first thing that you're going to want to do is attach the transducer itself to the ram transducer arm. So to do so, all you have to do is the ram transducer arm comes with an included bolt that allows you to bolt the transducer to the very base of the arm. So that's what we're going to do first. Once that's completed, you're going to want to take the cord, run it up the spline of the transducer arm itself, zip tie it to secure that amount of cord so that way it holds it nice and neat and tight against the transducer arm. Then what we'll do is we'll take the transducer arm itself, connect it to the 1-inch diamond base that's on the CellBlok already. We'll set that all aside. Next, you're going to take your transducer cord and start winding it around the T-posts that are on the back side of the CellBlok. This is going to allow you to manage your wires a lot more efficiently, so that way you don't have wires just draping off the back of the CellBlok. Next, you will take your FishFinder head unit and you'll remove the stock base from the head unit. Once that's been removed, go ahead and take the top portion of your ram Elite 4 connection base, install that on your FishFinder head unit, and then reattach it to the round ball that you've got installed onto the top of the CellBlok. Once that is done, position the FishFinder head unit out of the way so that way you have a little bit of space to work with. Then you take your power cord from the Elite 4 and you're going to insert it onto the back of the FishFinder head unit, and then measure out your cord, then wrap it around your T-posts. Once you've got that completed and you've got enough wire exposed on the outside that you can move to the inside of the inside of the CellBlok to connect it to the battery, lay the wire down and then grab your battery terminal connectors, and you're going to want to connect it, one of them to the black wire and one of them to the red wire. Now you will notice on the power cord for the Elite 4 that you've got two cords. Like I mentioned before, one has the red and black battery connections, and then you have one with a orange, green, yellow, and blue. This is for if you're doing the installation on like a power boat, and this is what they refer to as their data cords. These are cords that we will not be using in this installation, so they'll just be excess that you can tuck inside the battery well inside the CellBlok. On the cable that has the black and red connection cords, you also have a yellow ground wire. Again, this is not going to be connected to anything. All you got to worry about is connecting the red and black wires to the correct black and red terminal connections on your battery. Once that's been complete, now what you're going to want to do is open the side of your CellBlok and remove the lid. Once that's done, insert the battery inside the CellBlok. Take your battery terminal connections, connect it to the terminal post on the top of the battery, and then you're going to take and once you've got the cord correct, the correct length, take your large zip ties that come included with the CellBlok and bind all of your cables that are wound around the T-post tightly together so that way they don't come unraveled on you and they'll stay in place. Now, since you've already got the power cords removed off of the battery, you can remove the battery out, and you're going to want to, this is a slight modification that I personally do for the CellBlok, is you want to probably notch out a wall or a spot on the inside wall to where your battery cables can pass into the CellBlok without having to use, say, like a grommet to run your wires in. This will make for a really clean installation, and it will allow you to hide the terminal connections and allow you to remove them time after time. Once you've got that spot welded out, then you can go ahead, put your battery back in, reconnect your cables to the battery, slide the lid back in place, and then the basic installation of all of your FishFinder is complete. Now we're ready to go attach it to a boat. What's also included with the CellBlok are some of YakAttack's threaded knobs as well as T-bolts. These are what you're going to slide into various tracks on the that are going to be on the Kayak, either YakAttack tracks or ones that come installed on the Kayaks already. So you just pass these through the ends that are drilled onto the outside of the CellBlok, put on the threaded knobs, and don't tighten it all the way down yet. Once you've got one installed on one side and the other on the other side, you want to insert into the track and then on the Kayak, and then tighten it down. That now is secured the CellBlok to your Kayak, and you now have a mobile FishFinder solution that you can take from boat to boat. So this concludes the installation of the Elite 4 HDI with RAM components to the new YakAttack CellBlok. If you're looking for a FishFinder to take from boat to boat and own multiple boats, this is a great solution. So make sure to go over to ACK.com to outfit your next adventure.